Welcome to another episode of Chasing Labels. I am Stephen Billings, and I am here with my co-host, Andrew Cabral. How you doing, man?
Doing okay. We are here once again. This time it's the big 40. This is spy number 40. We are officially out of our 30s and into our 40s now.
I'm so old. And so with this episode, we initially had our guest of William Lustig, or Bill Lustig, as he likes to be called, on, and it was a fantastic interview. We talked with him for about almost an hour, and it was a fantastic interview. And unfortunately, like happens sometimes when you're doing things over the internet or you're recording something, you're doing something, we had an audio issue, and unfortunately the audio was lost to us on this interview. It's the first time this has happened to us. We've been fortunate so far to not have any kind of like errors or any kind of corruption issues or anything.
Or technical glitches
and anything that kept us from putting out something. Right. But in this particular case, we only had one audio going for Bill's audio, and that got corrupted, and it's unfortunately the only audio we had was me and Andrew's. So of course that's the unimportant stuff. So it's disappointing for us, disappointing for I know some of you guys maybe that were excited about hearing from Bill, but maybe we'll be able to get him back again one day. I just feel bad that I feel like we wasted his time. I mean, I still had a good conversation with him. I think
it was an incredible conversation with a super nice guy who was really giving us, complete honesty about certain subjects, about all this kind of stuff, giving us great insight into, the process that goes along with making a lot of the releases for his films with Blue Underground. We talked a lot about his work over the years, some of the people that he worked with and all of those things. And it was really, educational, I think, for both Stephen and I. And unfortunately, it's lost like tears in rain, like the end of Blade Runner.
It's honestly, it's very disappointing. I felt it being the first time that this has happened. It's a downer for me. But I'm trying to stay positive.
It's unfortunate because we were very lucky to have him as a guest and get to talk to him, and him being very open about wanting to talk to us, and of course we're coinciding it, which we will talk about the release of his last film that I believe he directed for feature film in Uncle Sam, which is getting a 4K UHD release from Blue Underground. And we talked a lot about, that whole process of him putting out his own movies and why he specifically wants to put out films within the horror genre, because he's been doing it for so long. He's, previously working at Anchor Bay and then starting off Blue Underground in the 2000s. And Blue Underground was the main player when it came to putting horror on disc in the 2000s and 2010s. And there are a lot of other players now that we talk about, but Blue Underground has been around for a while, and they were doing a lot of heavy lifting and heavy work for a long time. And it's really great to see yet another company that we've covered where it just seems to be filled with people super passionate about what they do and are just film fans in general. Yeah. It was really great to talk to him about that.
It was. So I apologize to our listeners, and I apologize to Mr. Lustig if I feel like I wasted his time in a way. I know that this doesn't affect him as much as it affects us, but he took the time to talk to us, and I feel like there's no return now other than just the conversation, and hopefully he doesn't feel bad about it when he finds out that this interview didn't get it put out. But sorry everybody, sorry that happened, and hopefully we don't have a glitch like that again. So, but the show is also, of course, us talking about Blu-rays. Yeah. And if that's not good enough for you, then I guess we won't get any downloads for this.
I guess that's true. The show must go on.
The show must go on, and there will be other guests, and hopefully maybe I can get Bill to come back and we can do a redo on this maybe at some point in the future. Maybe he'll forget that we existed, and he'll just do it again.
Yeah, definitely also support the Blue Underground brand, because we talked about how those 4K releases are like gorgeous releases.
Oh yeah, they're great.
Stunningly aesthetically. Like, those movies have never looked better.
Yeah.
But speaking of movies,
let's do that. Let's do that thing where we talk Blu-rays.
Gotcha. So we are going to start off this week. There's a few things that we want to cover. A couple of slates got announced, Umbrella and Indicator, but we'll save those for later. But first up, we do want to talk about kind of a single release from a company we talk about a little bit in 101 Films. And they're putting out a release of the Keanu Reeves starring film of Johnny Mnemonic, which is a 1995 film, a bit of ahead of its time in terms of, I think, what it was trying to do. A little pre-Matrixy in terms of like technology in people's heads and minds and things like that. This is a film that's already gotten a Blu-ray release here in 2011 in the U.S. from Image Entertainment. But this is probably a much better release than that. I'm just going by, just the way time has gone on.
Based off the features here, I don't know that it's going to be any different in the sense of its aesthetics. I don't think it's gotten any kind of new transfer.
It doesn't specify if it has or not, but it would be nice if that was a surprise.
How old is that Blu-ray?
It would be nice. What's that?
How old's the other Blu-ray that was originally released?
From 2011.
That is pretty wild. That's
a while ago.
It does not say. Yeah, it does not say in these features that have been put out that there's been like a new restoration or anything. But it says like a new audio commentary by critic Rich Johnson. Other than that, it looks like maybe old features are transferring over. And there's a Japanese director's cut that's in standard edition.
Ooh, that's always interesting.
Yeah.
It's interesting because sometimes you get different cuts in different markets. Sometimes you get different titles in different markets. Yeah. It really all depends.
I hear the director's cut is, obviously it's the preferred version, but for the director. But I hear it might be even a little better. I found this film to be super weird.
It's definitely
weird.
It's based off of the book of the same name by William Gibson, who wrote a lot of, weird cyberpunky, futuristic, dystopian sci-fi in the 70s and 80s, I believe. And he wrote like Neuromancer, I think is one of his more popular works. Some of his stuff has been adapted into, feature films and things like that. I'm kind of surprised a lot more of his work hasn't been adapted because it feels like it should have happened by now because they've adapted so much stuff of that realm. Like so much Philip K. Dick stuff has been adapted, with, Man in the High Castle, with A Scanner Darkly, with what's the movie I'm thinking of? Arnold Schwarzenegger, late 80s.
Running Man?
I think Running Man, maybe. The one where he goes to Mars.
Oh, Total Recall.
Total Recall. That's based off of Philip K. Dick's work.
Stuff. Yeah.
It's
tons of Philip K. Dick out there. Yeah.
Yeah, tons of his stuff has been adapted. And it feels like he and William Gibson were definitely in the same realm in terms of, this kind of cyberpunk, neo sci-fi noir. Of course, I just referenced it. Blade Runner. He wrote the original book. Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? So it's kind of interesting how. Like you were saying, Stephen, the film is odd film because it feels like it's a little bit ahead of its time in terms of what it's trying to do and what I think films could do in 1995 versus what they can do now.
I think there's a lot of ideas that were ahead of their time. It's just that the movie was, I think, more concerned with all them ideas instead of like making a movie that worked. And Keanu Reeves, as much as I love him, he's not the most dynamic actor. Yeah,
especially not in his younger days.
Yeah.
Not in the mid 90s.
I would say even now he's not very he's not very dynamic. He just he plays he can play a certain mode, and he's capable physically. Like he can do things that other actors can't do physically, and I think he's just able to have like a little bit of like almost a camp factor to him that works for him. And he's a good-looking dude.
Yeah. I mean, in the 90s, he was, of course, a big, major star. This is 1995. This is coming in the middle of
Speed.
yeah, Speed, and of course a little early on was, um, uh,
My Own
you know,
Private
not,
Idaho.
no, but that was late
Was
'80s,
that
and
a little bit? Yeah.
I'm thinking of even slightly in between there with, um, Point Break. And of course,
Yeah.
you have the Bill and Ted movies.
Yeah.
A little different. Of course, he was in Much Ado About Nothing.
Yeah.
Throwing in a little Shakespeare
Yeah.
adaptation in
Not
there.
really. Yeah.
Throwing that in. Um, and he was a big star back in the '90s, and he's still, of course, a big star
Oh,
now.
he's had he's had a
he's had the
resurgence.
career resurgence, of
Yeah.
course. I'm always a big fan of, you know, um, man, The Devil's Advocate. I completely forget about that movie
Oh
sometimes.
yeah, I love that movie. Yeah.
I love The Replacements. I'm just gonna go on record
Yeah, I
saying
like The
I think
Replacements too. Yeah.
it's a great sports comedy movie. One of Gene Hackman's last films. I mean, I would just say let it be Gene Hackman's last film versus Welcome
Yeah,
to
right.
Newsport,
Yeah.
which is, I guess, his official last film. And yeah, although he was in Behind Enemy Lines, Runaway Jury, and Royal Tenenbaums. Make those one of his last
Yeah.
films. Make those one of his last films.
But and
But
of
we're getting
course,
off track. We're getting off track.
If you know anything about Keanu Reeves, he's super likable in person.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently, so it's
Apparently
like
he's a
hard to
great
not
person.
like him, even if he's not like the most all around great actor. I think he brings something that's uniquely his own, and
Yes.
and I think that's what makes this movie watchable. Along
Yeah.
with like the ideas, all the interesting ideas that were ahead of their time, like video calling. A lot of video calling was in there, which is not, of course, the first movie that did that, but
No.
but there's a lot of things like that.
Yeah,
That were
it's a bit of a, I would say, more of a cult film now.
Yeah.
Got more appreciation over time. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in there, like this idea of, if you don't know the premise of the movie, basically, there's these couriers who download information in their mind because they have like a chip in their mind, and they transport it to other places. And then sometimes people don't want you to transport said information, so they try to stop you. Hence why people are after Keanu Reeves in the movie.
Yeah.
And the idea of carrying like a hard drive with you at all times is something very contemporary. Like our phones
Yeah.
are basically hard drives that we carry around.
But they're even
connected to the
talking
internet and
now
stuff.
about people like Elon Musk are talking about being able to put stuff in your head.
Yeah.
Now.
But what is also kind of a feast for the head and the eyes is the aesthetics of this release is a stunning cover art.
Yeah.
Just wildly bright
By Lucas or I ain't gonna get it right.
Peveril. I think it's
Peveril. Lucas Peveril did the art on this, and it is amazing looking.
Yeah, it looks like you're also getting a set of art cards as well, and looks like a slip box. That's what it kind
it
of
looks
looks
like a box. Yeah.
And that's Johnny Mnemonic.
Yeah, you can go watch it on Netflix right now.
Yes, it actually is available. That's where I watched it.
Yeah, so I mean, it's worth a look.
If you're a Keanu completist,
Yeah, and then also, guys, this takes place in 2021, so it's already happened.
there's a whole big opening, like crawl of like setting the scene of this dystopian world that William Gibson has created, and it's very interesting, of like where people thought like now would be and where we are now.
Yeah.
Like we don't have flying cars, but we have like phones that travel with us.
The movie's, like you said, kind of like Blade Runner meets like a Warriors, where it's like gangs.
Yes.
It's very on the ground.
I mean, and the cast of it, I didn't even mention, is also really good. The cast, of course, Keanu, like we mentioned, Dolph Lundgren's in the film, Takeshi Kitano, Ice-T. At one point, Henry Rollins shows up, and I was like, is that Henry Rollins? I'm like, yeah, it is.
Oh, and also, if you didn't know, a dolphin. So I just want to leave that out there.
Oh, nice.
And a dolphin's in the movie.
Of course.
Yeah. But that is Johnny Mnemonic. Where should we move to next?
I guess we'll move to Kino, who only has a couple of things. Mostly the stuff that they've announced this week are stuff that they've announced previously, so we won't really cover that. Like things like Violent City with Charles Bronson we've talked about. They're finally giving us dates, and pre-order links are going up and stuff. Without Warning's another one with Jack Palance, and we talked about these movies sometime last year.
Yeah, yeah.
These movies have been in the works for a while. But something new on the docket is Rodgers and Hammerstein's Flower Drum Song, starring Nancy Kwan, directed by Henry Koster. This is a film from 1961, getting a brand new 2K master. Looks like an audio commentary from Nancy Kwan and historian Nick Redman. I wonder if this was a Twilight Time release and it's getting a re-release. Because Nick Redman, who has passed away, was one of the founders of Twilight Time. So a lot of his audio commentaries and the special features he did are kind of transferring over to new license holders. So, and Kino's been scooping up those Twilight Time releases like left and right. So I'm wondering, but it looks like a musical from 1961. There's a lot of special features here, which is a little unusual for most of Kino's work, but I like it. And this is coming out May 24th. Then next we have a movie called Search for Beauty, also getting a brand new 2K master. And we're going further back in time to 1934, starring one of my favorites, Ida Lupino, so that automatically keeps me intrigued. Buster Crabbe is in the film as well. This is another one we don't get much in the way of info about what is contained in the release, but we do know that it's coming soon. So could be May, could be June, could be whenever.
Yeah. And another one that's it's actually had a couple releases already before,
Yes.
but this one's coming on 3D Blu-ray, and that's The Mad Magician, which Indicator I think put out the most recent release of this.
Yes, I got it in their fifth anniversary sale from a few months back. I ended up scooping that up because it was slowly going out of print, and I think they've since re-released it in a standard edition because the limited editions sold out.
Yeah.
And this was kind of what I just said. This was originally a Twilight Time release here in the States, and Kino scooped up those rights. That's what they do. They just scooping everything up.
Yeah.
And this was originally in 3D because they tried to capitalize, I think, off of the hype and the success of House of Wax at the time, which Vincent Price was also in. So they were like, hey, how can we keep, making that 3D money from the 1950s? And let's put Vincent Price in the similar role as House of Wax, and let's do it again. But it's a good film. If you're a Vincent Price completist, you're a Vincent Price fan, I'd say get any of the releases that you can, just so you can get his filmography in tow. Kino's been going Vincent Price crazy over the last little while. And it's been quite a few Vincent Price festivals for me.
But the last, I see there's a few more here.
There is.
I think we've touched on Jude before.
Yes, with
Jude
Christopher Eccleston
Yeah.
and Kate Winslet, early roles for them.
Yeah.
1996. This was, I want to say right after Heavenly Creatures for Kate Winslet. When are we getting that damn Blu-ray of Heavenly Creatures, Peter Jackson?
I know, right?
Steven and I,
there's a set.
been talking about this for 5 years.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah,
There's been a set in
1994
the
was
works,
Heavenly
apparently,
Creatures.
for a long time.
Yeah, apparently it just, from what we've talked about many, many times is Peter Jackson wants to do all the work there at Weta or, his company. And yeah, I guess that's what's taken so long. And plus he's doing all kind of other restoration projects too. Like he's restoring the Beatles,
Yeah.
Must have been an undertaking. Then the World War I footage from a few years ago. And then whatever else he's been up to. But damn, I really want Heavenly Creatures back available because there was a Blu-ray for a while and it's gone now, and it's really annoying. Great film from him, but that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about Jude, which of course stars Christopher Eccleston and Kate Winslet, and yeah, we talked about this sometime last year.
I think we talked about it a while back ago.
It's getting a new audio commentary and coming out in May.
Yeah.
It's interesting drama, kind of Australian. I think Australian set drama.
All right.
Yeah,
Well,
Michael Winterbottom was the director of that film.
All right. Yeti is another one.
Kind of completely shifting gears. Going from a drama to Yeti.
Yeah, the giant
Code
of the
Red.
20th century. And this it's a partner with Code Red, and this just looks like looks like an Italian King Kong ripoff. So, and we know how the Italians love to rip off a lot of American films back in that time, which is fair game. I think that is okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. Yeah, there were. I mean, yeah, there's just a lot of copycat stuff when it comes to giant monsters. They're all kind of. Everybody kind of took the cue from King Kong back in the 30s and kind of worked from there. And of course we got Godzilla in the 50s, and then that franchise has gone on to this day.
Yeah.
They came out with a Godzilla movie literally last year. This is getting mastered in HD from the original Italian 35mm camera negative. Really surprised they have this after all that time. But they do, and this is a Region A, B, and C title, so you can watch it anywhere. Yeah, that is Yeti. And then they have officially, and we knew these were coming, For a Few Dollars More and A Fistful of Dollars are both getting their 4K UHD releases. I think they're both coming May 31st, I believe, of 2022. And the reason why that's important is because if you've already gotten The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, you're going to want to get the other two. These have to be some of the most re-released movies on Blu-ray that I've seen in recent times.
Oh, yeah.
But these should hopefully look good. From what I understand, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly looks fantastic. I think these are both 2-disc editions loaded with special features. At least from what I'm seeing. So this is going to be something I know a lot of people are going to snag right away, especially for slipcover enthusiasts. Those slipcovers for Once Upon a Time, not Once Upon a Time, those slipcovers for The Good, the Bad, the Ugly went super fast and are super collectible, and people are selling them for absurd amounts of money on eBay. And it's like, damn, I should have got it when I had the chance.
Yeah.
If you're, if you're a slipcover enthusiast.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for the re-release of it again on 4K from somebody else.
Not only that, there may end up being a box set.
Yeah.
Or you could wait, I guess, I don't know who has it, but Once Upon a Time in the West, that would be a nice 4K re-release. Once Upon a Time in America, that would be a monstrous re-release. That movie's so long, with its various cuts. But moving on from there, they are re-releasing the Film Noir, The Dark Side of Cinema Volume 1 set on June 28th. The reason why that's important is because that's a smart idea from my perspective, because those other sets that they're coming out with recently are getting super popular. So people want to go back and collect the early ones, like I tried to do, been trying to do. And this one, I guess, was out of print.
Yeah.
I know it was floating around. I didn't know it was officially out of print.
Amazon didn't even really have it for sale except for maybe third parties.
Yeah. I bought mine on eBay, actually, and it took forever to get to me because Amazon didn't have it in stock, and it was, I think I got it, because it was during, the holidays, and there was the U.S. Postal Service was so backed up. I think this was the holidays of, 2020. That's how long ago I bought that set. And I'm glad they're re-releasing it for people who don't have it, because it's going to be the same exact set. There's no difference in the current editions that are out now. There's no new masters for it. They're all straight of, what they've already put out.
Yeah.
And apparently they were already remastered in 2014, 2015, according to the comment section on Kino Lorber Studio Classics Facebook page. Yeah. So I didn't even know that they had new masters, that those already had remasters.
And funny enough, they decided to not even mess with the fact that they didn't put Volume 1 on this because they didn't know they were going to keep doing it.
Yeah, they didn't know that, because if you look at the timeline from when they put this out, it took them years to put out a second set. It's like, I don't know if they were waiting to see if the set was going to sell well, or whatever the case is. But yeah, the first set came out in 2016, and then Volume 2 didn't come out until 2020.
Yeah.
So
and
then,
so
of
now
course,
there's been what, seven other editions
from
announced since then?
2020 until now, they've had two volumes 2 through what 8 have been announced.
Yeah. I think 6, 7, and 8 are coming out in the next few months.
Yeah. So they
yeah.
put these into production really quick.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was the case. I don't know if they had that pre-planned out and they were just
I
waiting
don't think they did.
those years.
And this is the only set that has more than 3 movies.
Yeah.
Like all the other
oh
ones
yeah,
are
I
3.
think they made that first set with 5, and they
Yeah.
were like, okay, how can we keep putting these out, but be a little less costly? Oh,
Yeah.
we'll put out 3 movies instead of 5.
Yeah.
And then maybe we'll scale back the special features or whatever. But since then, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's a lot of sets. That adds up on the shelf.
Yeah, it's taking up space, but it looks good.
It does look good.
It
It's
does look good
sleek,
together.
simple. That seems to be Kino's
That's
thing.
what they do. That's what
That's
they do.
what they do. Simple yet affordable
Slimy
for the most
yet
part.
satisfying.
Yes, yes.
As I do a Lion King reference that has nothing to do with what I said.
No, nothing at all.
but-
I guess we'll
yeah.
go down to an area that has a lot of animals, a la Lion King,
Ah, yes, good connection.
in Umbrella Entertainment.
All right. Well, we got a lot of releases here.
As
got a lot-
usual,
As usual, Umbrella, when they release something, they release a lot.
Yeah, they no half measures there. No half measures.
No. So these are all, Blu-ray releases. We got Way of the Dragon, which, they've been re-putting out a lot of the Bruce Lee stuff that's been put out, also by Criterion and I think 88 Film. Was it 88 Films that released them in the or?
Shout Factory released them here.
Oh yeah,
don't know.
you're right. Yeah. So these things are getting around. These Bruce Lee films are getting around. So Way of the Dragon's getting released from Umbrella. Also, the first Chucky film, Child's Play from 1988, is getting a release through their Beyond Genres line.
Yeah, they have a lot of sub-labels, which
yes,
I
they
didn't
do.
really quite realize until now. We've been covering them this whole time.
And then we got from one of their other, sub-labels, Sunburnt Screens. We have the film from 1999 starring Heath Ledger. We got Two Hands. And you said you saw this one.
I did see this. It's an early film from Heath Ledger. Heath Ledger's probably maybe 20 in this movie, not even. And this, I think, may have been his last film that he did in Australia before he came over to the U.S. to make, films in Hollywood. And the reason why I say that is because that same year of 1999, he was in 10 Things I Hate About You, which I believe is his first American film. And I really liked Two Hands a lot. It's a really, really good film. And you can tell how incredibly talented he was just even at that young of an age. He was a prodigy when it came to acting,
Yeah.
And then, of course, he would come over here to the U.S. and his career would take off and then unfortunately have a horrifically tragic ending in his passing. But watching this movie reminded me that I need to get a lot of more of his films in my collection that isn't, as well known. I have The Dark Knight, I have Brokeback Mountain, I even have Brothers Grimm, I even have The Imaginary Dr. Parnassus, but his early work
Candy.
I don't have much of.
Candy's good. Is it called Candy? You ever
Which
see
one?
that with Ellen
Oh,
Page?
That's
Isn't that- Is
that
that Heath
Candy
Ledger?
is a different movie. You're
What am
thinking
I
of,
thinking of?
you're thinking of Hard
Hard
Candy.
That's it.
That's a much different movie. That's a horror
it
film.
is. Hard Candy is what I'm thinking of.
Yes, but he was in like Casanova,
Yeah.
Lords of Dogtown, The
Oh,
Order.
Lords of Dogtown's good. Yeah.
Yeah, Ned Kelly, which we talked about, I think
It got
Imprint-
Imprint release.
Imprint put out Ned Kelly, the one starring. I just bought my mic. The one starring Mick Jagger back in the 70s, and then we
Yes.
referenced that Heath Ledger had been in the remake in the 2000s.
Which I think Shout Select put out that Ned Kelly film, if I'm not
Yes.
mistaken.
I think you're right. I don't know what I was thinking of. But of course, A Knight's Tale, The Patriot.
Yeah,
I mean, we could do a whole episode on just Heath Ledger alone, but Two Hands is really, really good. I would highly recommend people checking it out any way they can. And I don't even know, if it's actually been released anyplace else, this may be something that is a premiere.
Yeah. I even tried looking for it to watch it. I couldn't find. So you found it somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah, it did get a Blu-ray release in France in 2011, and it also has had 1, 2, and including this one, 3 Blu-ray releases in Australia.
Oh.
It had 1 in 2009, 1 in 2016, and then 1 in now. So that has been the only way this movie's been released.
He's a very famous Australian actor. So
yes, indeed.
Of course, they've really
also, I was just gonna say, Rose Byrne is in the film as well.
Oh, okay.
She plays kind of like the love interest in it as well, and I completely forgot that she is from Australia, because she's in so many American films with her American accent.
Yeah.
That it's just like you don't even. Sometimes you forget the origins of where these actors are from because they're so good at pulling off American accents. But yeah, Two Hands, highly recommended.
Awesome. Well, the next one here, I've actually seen it. We both seen it.
We did.
From 1978. This is part of their Exploitation Classics line.
Nice.
Long Weekend. And this is actually coming not only with the Blu-ray, but also a CD soundtrack. So that's interesting. And then it's coming with collector cards. And so it's a little more of a deluxe release here. And I'll have to say, this is a weird one. This is a...
it's a haunting movie.
It is, and I know you have a different description of this movie, but I kind of felt like M. Night Shyamalan watched this movie before he made the movie Old. He kind of watched Old, because Old's about like this deserted kind of like beachfront that weird shit's going on, and it's kind of what happens here, except it's a little bit more, I would say, on the art film side, not so in your face. When it comes to its messaging, but
it's very simple, subtle, but like slow. It's a slow burn of a film.
Yeah.
Like things get increasingly, odd over time. Tension, suspense, things like that are kind of lurking, and ever so, growing. For me, Long Weekend reminded me a lot of Lars von Trier's film Antichrist. It's nearly the same premise. In Antichrist, this couple, Willem Dafoe, I think it's Charlotte Gainsbourg, I believe, are in that film, and they have a tragedy that happens in their life, and there's a tragedy that happens in this film as well, and they go on this vacation to the woods. It's kind of a beach setting. In Antichrist, it's the woods, but just surreal and wild and unsettling things happen in Antichrist, and that's why the movie gets its reputation as being so, graphic, because graphic things do happen. Animals start talking, there's blood happening, there's anger, there's sex happening. It's Lars von Trier doing what he does. This movie, Long Weekend, like it's way dialed back to like bare bones of that premise. I wouldn't be surprised if Lars von Trier saw this movie and was like, let me make that, but let me just dial it up to 11 and go wild with it. There you have Antichrist. But
this
it's a good
very
movie,
much,
though.
Yeah, it's good. It's very much, has a lot of commentary about like how we treat nature and the nature of us as people versus ourselves. It's a couple that's on the verge of divorce, and they're fighting each other, they're fighting nature, and nature decides to fight back in its own way. And it's like, it's very, very interesting premise.
Yeah, and what is interesting is that the people in it are very unlikable to the point where you're like, maybe it detaches you a little bit from the film.
Yeah.
In that regard, I just thought the guy in it was such an idiot. He was
so fucking stupid.
It's like you got to, and in a lot of these movies, when weird stuff starts happening, you got to get out of there.
Yeah,
There's no waiting for tomorrow, waiting for later. You got to go. Just let's get out of here. But of course, movies are movies.
Movies are movies, and there are dumber people. There's levels of dumbness.
Of course,
we can all be dumb. We can all be dumb, but sometimes you can't believe it. But people do dumb things every day. So
very true. And what I really like about this kind of exploitation line that they have is they're already up to number because this is number 12, and then the next film we'll talk about will be number 13, and they're all films from that 70s and 70s and 80s era, which is like kind of the resurgence and kind of the independent Australian films of the time. We talk about it all the time, and I really like that they're really highlighting that era and putting these out in super collector's editions, because they're not only coming with this is not only coming with a CD soundtrack, but there's like collector's cards and a day bill, and then the next film is Harlequin, which also is this Ozploitation Classics line number 13 with collector's cards and a day bill. And I like the uniformity of the artwork as well.
Yeah.
It looks like they're using just the regular poster art.
Yeah, I mean, that's always, I think, the way to go. I mean,
that's the best way.
It's the best way to make sure that you're not only, being true to the movie of its time, trying to show that how much you care about that film, but also it's usually better. I mean, like, not that anybody can't create good stuff today, but it's like a lot of times the stuff that they were making back then, the type of art style that they were doing, really just they were in tune with it better. If they ever decide to, boutique labels of the future decide to start putting up movies of today out, they might need to redo the artwork.
Oh yeah, because some of the poster art we get today, it's Photoshop City, and not good Photoshop. Like,
no,
clearly someone put this together very, very quickly and just used the same template that they've used for all of the other films previously to it.
Yeah.
How many times are we going to get the same like color scheme to all of these posters that keep happening? And the characters are situated in the same exact ways. Is no one noticing this at these places? And these are big studios we're talking about. It's not like they don't have resources to like have someone take a look. It's baffling to me. But moving back to Harlequin, this is a movie I actually wish I got a chance to see, because the premise of it sounds really interesting. It's basically a play on what happened at the end of the Romanov dynasty in Russia in 1917, where with this whole thing, people probably heard this with Rasputin and how he was able to get in there and influence, the Tsar and the Tsarina of the time. And basically, like in this movie, a faith healer shows up, the quote unquote, Rasputin, and he is able to heal this this wealthy person's child who's sick, and therefore he's able to endear himself to them. He has an affair with the wife and whatnot. I'm just reading it based off of the description. It sounds very intriguing, very, very kind of interesting play on real life versus fiction. So I was very curious about it too.
Yeah.
I don't know if you had read the premise.
No, I was not. I did not get a chance to look at these. But yeah, I mean, like you said, it sounds interesting. But the next one, I'm familiar with it, but I have not watched it yet but it is from a pretty reputable filmmaker that we all love, and this is from their World Cinema line, Michael Haneke's Amour.
Yes.
Which I think did win some Oscars, if I'm remembering right.
I believe it was nominated for Best Picture, but it won for Best Foreign Language. That seems to be what they keep doing. Like they keep being rather hesitant in giving these great foreign films the Best Picture Oscars. So as a consolation prize, we'll give you the Best Foreign Language Oscar.
They're trying to change that recently. They did, Parasite got in there.
Parasite, did get it last year. So there goes my theory up in smoke.
Well, a couple years ago. No, there was at least one between them.
Oh yeah, the years that keep running together.
Yeah, they're running together.
Yeah, I don't even know what year this is.
What day is it? I don't know. But Amour, I know, is a film about like getting up in your years, and about, I think, if I'm remembering correctly, like she has dementia, or one of the characters has dementia or something. I could be completely wrong.
Yeah, you are right. It stars Emmanuel Riva is in the film. Jean-Louis Trintignant. Oh boy, that was rough. Isabelle Huppert is in the film. I believe she plays the daughter character. And basically, it's a very sad, very heavily weighted film. About this woman, dying of dementia. And it kind of shows the bond between to a married person being married for so many years and having to witness, the love of your life slowly pass away, because dementia is a ruthless disease. Um, and she has a stroke, I believe. It's been years since I've seen this movie. I know in the U.S., Sony Pictures Classics put out a Blu-ray release of this years ago. So yeah, I don't know if you've ever seen any of Michael Haneke's films.
Oh yeah,
he's a great filmmaker, challenging filmmaker, a really good filmmaker. Like I've seen a few of his films, like Caché, The White Ribbon, Funny Games. I've seen the original, and I think he also directed the remake, which was shot-for-shot remake of his own film.
Yeah,
Bold choice.
Michael Pitt's in that, and I think it's who's
Naomi Watts. I think is in that film.
Is
in the film as well.
I watched one of his. I picked it up not too long ago. It was maybe a few months back ago, but one of his films called Time of the Wolf.
Oh, okay.
And that's an interesting kind of dystopian film that he did, and yeah, he definitely is a challenging film. He's somebody you got to kind of hang with him.
Yeah, his films are definitely heavy films. A lot of his films are in the Criterion Collection, like The Piano Teacher, Code Unknown is in the Criterion Collection. Funny Games, his original one, is in the Criterion Collection. I would love Caché to just get a Blu-ray release in general. Caché does not have a Blu-ray release, and I've been sporting this used DVD that I bought many, many years ago. Caché does have a Blu-ray release in the UK, and I think that may be the only place it does. Yeah. It's the only place that has it. Artificial Eye put out a release of it in 2008. Holy hell, that's a long time ago.
So
that's Amour.
And so more here. We got the Light Horseman from their Sunburnt Screens line. Looks like a Western of some kind. I did not check. Did you check this one out?
I did not get to check this out. I know it came out in the year 1987, important year, historical year. But I did not get to check it out, and it looks like an Australian Western, which are really cool Westerns, by the way.
Yeah.
Actually, I think this is Actually, I don't think this is a Western at all.
I lied.
Yeah, this actually takes place in Palestine in 1917, and it's about a Australian light horse regiment are thrust into the last great cavalry charge when the British campaign in Palestine becomes a stalemate in 1917. I'm assuming this is like circa World War One. So this is stuff happening in the Middle East in World War One during that time. Either way, still intrigued by it. Still very, very intrigued by it.
All right.
But moving on from there, we've got another familiar title.
Yeah. Blue is the Warmest Color from their Sensual Cinema line.
It is a sensual film.
Yeah, they got a lot of different sublabels. And yeah, this one's got previously released in the Criterion Collection.
Did you ever get that release, or did you ever get to see this movie?
I want to say I might have watched this. I might have watched this on Filmstruck back when Filmstruck was a thing, but I can't remember. I'm aware of the movie. I just
the movie stars Elia Seydoux and who was going on to be in the 2 recent James Bond films.
Yes.
Yeah, and this is a film. I remember when this came out, there was so much buzz around it at like the Cannes Film Festival and all of that. This was a film I believe also. I don't know if it was nominated. I know it was nominated for a BAFTA, but it wasn't nominated for an Academy Award, no. But there was a lot of hype around it. This came out in 2013, and Criterion put a Blu-ray out of it. And the idea was they were going to re-release it later on with like special features, and they never did. They never did. And I think the reason behind that is because seemingly everyone who worked on this movie had a terrible experience. Apparently the actresses hated working with this director. Apparently I think he may have been abusive to them or something, or just the shooting, the way the movie was shot wasn't pleasant for them at all. And because the movie I think is based on a graphic novel or based on a novel, I can't remember. Even the original, the original author, yeah, it was based on a comic book. Le Bleu est une couleur chaude. Blue is the warmest color.
Wow.
And she didn't even like the adaptation of it. So I'm guessing they just couldn't get anybody to make special features for this movie. So they were just like, you got what you got, and I guess there you go. Because they came out in 2014, and I remember buying it at one of the Barnes and Noble sales, being like, hey, I guess I'll get this for now, but I'll get the special feature one later on too. And it came with, and it never happened. The original, that release only had a trailer, a TV spot, and a booklet. That is it.
But this one has 2 interviews.
I actually do want to see what this one has.
Yeah, it's got 2 interviews. It's got an interview with the director, an interview with the actress.
Adele, I can never say her last name.
I'm not even going to try.
Exarchopoulos?
Sounds amazing.
But it does have
some
2
deleted
interviews.
Scenes.
Yeah.
And deleted scenes. Yeah.
Yes, it does. A couple of deleted scenes. 3 deleted scenes, actually. And the movie's 180 minutes long, so...
That's
the
a long movie.
The movie's already long. I don't know how much they cut out of it.
That's 3 hours, guys.
I always thought, to be honest, I know there was so much, negative context around the film, but I always thought it was a really beautiful film. I always thought it was just a beautiful love story and all of that. But I do understand that people aren't as high on the movie now because of all the context around it. But I still think it's worth watching.
Yeah. All right. A couple more single releases here. We got Silverado, 1985. It's a Western starring a bunch of stars, which is a thing back in the 80s. When we were getting Westerns in the 80s, a lot of times it was with an all-star cast. And in this case, we got Kevin Kline, Scott Glenn, Rosanna Arquette. We got John Cleese. We got Kevin Costner, Danny Glover, Jeff Goldblum. I mean, it's just a big cast, and I want to say I've seen this. It's been a while. Once again, these all run together for me. These westerns from the 80s, like Young Guns and Tombstone and
Tombstone was the 90s, but I get you.
Shut up. No, don't get all exact on me. It might as well have been the 80s. It had Kurt Russell
I know what you mean. I mean, this was directed by Lawrence Kasdan.
Yeah.
And written by Lawrence Kasdan as well. Lawrence Kasdan was doing a lot of good work in the 80s that I don't think people remember, because people only remember him as directing Empire Strikes Back. And it's like, he did a lot of other stuff back in the day as well. He
didn't just do The Big Chill, okay, guys?
Yeah, well, I was just saying The Big Chill was probably another one that he did. But also he directed a lot of stuff. Like he directed Wyatt Earp. Talk about Westerns. 1994, Wyatt Earp, which is a super long film. Silverado is available currently to stream, I think, on Netflix, if people are interested. But it's gotten a release pretty much everywhere. We even got a digibook release here in the U.S., many moons ago. I want to say, 2009 looks like. 2010 seems to be around the time we got that digibook. So this movie could use a re-release, but I'm assuming it's the same type of transfer. I don't know if there's any difference. I forgot that he directed Body Heat. I forgot that he directed that.
Yeah, and one I really liked his, I think I got it from Kino, put it out, Munford.
Ah, yes, Munford, not from 1999.
Yeah, it's got Jason Lee in it, and it's kind of like what's the film I compared it to back when I saw it? It's like a small town movie. A guy comes to a small town type of thing, and weird, quirky characters. And I had a comparison to it, and I can't remember what it was. But yeah. I mean, he's a solid filmmaker, and is one of them guys that I think got remembered for writing Star Wars: Empire Strikes Back, and I think some people just kind of forgot he directed a bunch of good stuff too. So, but yeah. And also what we got here is got Mr. Nobody. which is the film with the very crazy Jared Leto, who continues to play every character he can get his hands on.
That movie has been on Netflix for years, and it always comes up in like one of those lists as like movies to watch or whatever, or like their suggestions, their suggestion list. Also, I completely didn't remember that Lawrence Kasdan did not direct Empire Strikes Back. I'm so stupid. I gotta hand in.
He just wrote it.
Yeah, he only wrote it. He also wrote Indiana Jones and Raiders. I just wanted to correct that before I had to hand over my Star Wars fandom membership.
Did you say I didn't direct it. I didn't say he directed it.
I said he directed.
Oh, did you say it?
I think I said that he wrote and directed Empire Strikes Back, but that was Kirshner, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yes.
Irvin Kershner.
But Mr. Nobody, it's another one I have not seen, but as you said, it's everywhere. Like, it's like one of the movies where I'm kind of curious about it, and then I see that the running time's like 2.5 hours, and I'm like, I'll wait to get around to it.
Exactly. I mean, it's 2 hours and 21 minutes, and it's like, I don't know. It always shows up, like I said, on my
this particular
Netflix
genre of like a futuristic kind of thing, or like something I really have to be in the mood for. Like,
I mean, it's got an amazing cast too. You know, Jared Leto's kind of insane, so you can love him or hate him. Good actor, I guess. Sarah Polley, underrated actress. Diane Kruger's in the film. Reese Ifans, Juno Temple must have been not an early work, but 2009. She hadn't really arrived on the scene quite yet. But yeah.
Yeah,
Mr. Nobody.
Mr. Nobody. And then
I have to check. While you go on to the next one, I want to check to see if it actually has ever gotten a Blu-ray release.
Well, the last couple we'll talk about are actually double features. We got White Line Fever from 1975, along with Airwolf from 1984. I know I'm pretty sure I've seen Airwolf, and it's like a helicopter action movie. A friend of mine, Joe, had brought this movie up to me, and he's like, "You ever seen Airwolf?" And I'm like, "Not really," because he's older than me. He's in his 50s. He's like, "Yeah, Airwolf's the shit." Like, watch Airwolf, and I'm like, "Okay."
1984.
It's a helicopter fight action movie. It's
feels like I gotta check. Sounds like a Cannon film, but I don't even know if it's a Cannon film.
It does look like a Cannon film just by the aesthetics. But yeah, this looks like a. It says all action double feature. I mean, I don't know much about these movies, but somebody cares about them.
Oh yeah, enough to put them out.
And it's 2 movies for $30, so it's not,
very true.
Not a bad price if you're in for these movies. But the other double feature we got here is a retro horror double feature.
Cool.
With Island of the Lost Souls from 1932 and Black Cat from 1934. That's the Bela Lugosi and Boris Karloff version. Because I think the Black Cat's been redone a couple times, hasn't it?
Yeah. Yes, it has. Well, there's been so many movies with that title, but Island of Lost Souls is really good. Island of Lost Souls was put out on Blu-ray by Criterion back in 2011, and that movie starred Charles Laughton. And that movie's basically like the Island of Dr. Moreau without titling it the Island of Dr. Moreau. It's the same premise. It's a great film. That Blu-ray could use a re-release. It's early Criterion. It doesn't look great on Blu-ray, but it looks better than the DVD. I'm assuming that it must have had some type of restoration by now.
Well, I mean, this release here doesn't say anything about upgrades or anything. It's just saying trailers. That's it.
Yeah. Unfortunately, but the Black Cat, this is the one with Boris Karloff, you said?
Yes.
I want to say this is the one that was just put out. It's in the Universal Horror Collection Volume 1 that I have. And I've done a review for that set on the YouTube channel for Chasing Labels. I did it a little while ago, and Universal Horror Collection volumes are put out by Shout Factory, and they've done quite a few of them. I think they've done up to at least 6. And they're basically just, catalog horror titles that Universal was putting out in the 30s, 40s, and 50s that weren't the ones we all know of.
Yeah.
They're not Frankenstein, they're not Dracula, they're not all of those, but they often star some of the same people. Like this Volume 1 set is just basically a Boris Karloff set.
Yeah.
And Bela Lugosi shows up in the films. And the sad part about it is that as you go along on the films, you see Bela Lugosi's characters get smaller and smaller in terms of his roles in the movies. And while Boris Karloff is clearly the star, they were just attaching Bela Lugosi to these movies. But that set has the Black Cat, the Raven, the Invisible Ray, and Black Friday. It's a worthwhile set, but I think these sets are slightly overpriced. Like they go for around $50 a piece, and I'm like, that's a bit much, considering that you don't really get any features on most of these releases. You're just basically paying for the movies.
Yeah.
But the Black Cat is really good, and I'm pretty sure that's the one that they're talking about.
All right. Well, that is it for our talk on the Umbrella releases for, I think then we're all, May, June releases?
I believe these are all the May releases. Oh, April releases. Wow.
Oh, April. Okay.
They're a little behind everyone else. Most people are in May or June. They are in April.
Okay. Well, now we get to our last slate here, and that will be for Indicator Powerhouse, and this is their June releases. And well, I knew this one is a doozy for Andrew. Definitely, I'm pretty sure he passed out when he probably saw this, because he's a big Humphrey Bogart fan. And
I am.
So you go ahead and you introduce this here.
Yeah, when we had the founders, the people who run the company of Indicator, they hinted at that there would be more film noir, and more film noir has arrived in Columbia Noir number 5, or the Humphrey Bogart box set, essentially. That's basically what it is. There are 6 films here. Dead Reckoning, Knock on Any Door, Tokyo Joe, Sirocco, The Family Secret, and The Harder They Fall. The Harder They Fall is Humphrey Bogart's last film that he was in before he passed away. I believe he passed away the next year, maybe 1957. And so that was really probably the highlight for me, because I've seen the movie at least once or twice, and it's a great film. And most of these I don't think have seen Blu-ray releases at all anywhere up until this point. And I'd have to do some research on that, but I don't think so. So the set is, of course, loaded with special features. I think we are getting a 4K restoration of The Harder They Fall, and the rest are just getting HD presentation. But of course, we've got commentaries on each film. We've got all kind of extras that are just incredible, by all kind of different archival stuff as well as brand new stuff. It is a massive set, and all of these films are from Columbia Pictures, all from Sony. We talked a little about that Sony connection during our interview at the time, and you're seeing how it's paying off, in dividends now, because these are all movies that, like I said, I don't think I've seen the light of day, and they're all good, I would say. The only one of these films that Humphrey Bogart does not star in is The Family Secret, because he has an uncredited credit, I guess, as an executive producer.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was produced by his company.
Yeah, so he's got like some type of IMDb credit.
Yeah.
So that's why, if people were like, "Oh, The Family Secret starring Lee J. Cobb, Humphrey Bogart's not in this movie."
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
But he did technically have his name on it somewhere.
He was involved in it. Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, and now this is a Region B locked. I know they've been doing a lot of like region free stuff and even some just region A, but like this particular set is unfortunately just Region B. So you'll have to have that Region B player to watch this set.
Yes.
But
I think similar to their other sets, their other Columbia Noir sets are also Region B.
Yeah. But I've seen a few of these movies. I did watch Harder They Fall. I have seen Dead Reckoning. They're good. I mean, they're solid movies. It's one of them things, Bogart's kind of like an all-time, kind of image of film history. and having this set is just, kind of like a milestone kind of thing that I think is kind of an essential thing to have. And that artwork is amazing. Just him kind of, it's black and white and just that shadow, and that just kind of like, it's just an amazing image of him.
Yeah, it really is. It's certainly different than their other sets. I'm just looking here on my shelf. Usually their sets are a bright color. I believe Volume 4, which I still don't have, as I shake my fist into the universe, is blue. So they've gone from like yellow to orange to red to blue, and now to a kind of grayish, I would say, with black lettering. But all their lettering is always black anyways. And it's a very simple picture of just Humphrey Bogart holding a gun. It says all you really need to know.
It's definitely simple, but it's just kind of just a solid. It's just, I just love it. It looks great.
And as I was saying before, apparently this is 4 of these films are getting their UK premiere, and 2 of these films are getting their world premiere on Blu-ray.
Nice.
I did notice that in the notes here. And this is coming out June 20th of 2022. So you do have some time to get it.
And the other film, there's also, and let's not forget the other film. There was one other single release that came with this.
Yes,
and it's a film called Pastor Hall from 1940? 1940.
Yes, 1940.
And I tried to look. We both tried hard to look for this film to watch, and I think there was a DVD of it. Out there that you could go buy and find it, but of course didn't have enough time to buy it and then watch it and all that stuff. But it's it looks like a very well received film that I would very much love to watch.
Yeah, apparently it is a world premiere on Blu-ray for the movie Pastor Hall. And yeah, it looks like it's a true story of a Protestant minister named Martin Niemöller, and was one of the first anti-Nazi dramas ever made. I'm reading this from the newsletter email that Indicator sends out every month. And it says here, having had its original production delayed by British censors who were not yet ready to be openly critical of Hitler's regime, there was a lot of people doing that at the time, unavailable for many years, Pastor Hall has been newly restored from a 4K scan of the nitrate duplicate negative by Powerhouse Films. So this is yet again doing what Indicator does in unearthing a film that hasn't really seen the light of day in much sense for a very long time, and certainly not in this quality. Yeah. We talked a lot about that with them when they were on the podcast about that's one of their goals, I guess, is to kind of bring these films to light to new audiences for today, because I certainly have never heard of this movie until right now.
No, that's the once again the amazing thing about their company is they keep surprising us, man.
Yeah, this is region free, and it does come with a bunch of special features, both new and older, as well as a couple of short films actually, and it's a world, like I said, world premiere. 4,000 copies. This is something I'm really interested in. I'm hoping people will take notice of this, because I think this may have got a little overshadowed by the giant Columbia set. Yeah.
To be honest, at first I thought it was the only release, and then I was like, oh shit, there's another one down there. And so this looks fantastic. I really wanted to watch it, and it just could not. There is somebody didn't strip a DVD or anywhere and put it online. It's just
no VHS rip copies of this on YouTube, I guess.
Yeah, there's nothing. But yeah, I mean, great. This is another great slate here from Indicator. They keep doing their thing. And of course, also on the newsletter, there is a flash sale apparently coming up at some point.
Yes, there is.
So everybody get your wallets ready.
Yeah, I mean, and they're following it up right after Criterion just had their flash sale this past week. I know I partook in it. Steven, I think you did as well.
I usually with these flash sales only get one thing, and I had a $10.
I got 2.
Yeah, I only got one thing. I had a $10 gift card, so I got Incredible Shrinking Man, And
Nice. I ended up finding two coupon codes in my emails from Criterion. Apparently, those things don't expire, and you can use multiple of those on your sales from Criterion during the sales or regularly. But it's best to wait when they're having a flash sale, and you can stack them on there. And you could save some money. So that's a hot tip that I'm pretty sure everyone already knows about, and I'm not breaking anyone's mind here. Pretty sure we're all trying to find ways to snag some great releases for decent prices.
Yep. But that is it for our show this week. Thanks everybody for listening, and once again, sorry the interview didn't work out. It sucks. Trust me, I don't like it either.
Yeah, I know, and we do want to mention that once again, Blue Underground is releasing his last film in the new 4K version. They're mastering it, I think, from the original camera negative and
Uncle
all that
Sam.
kind of stuff.
Uncle Sam, yeah.
The movie is available currently to stream on Tubi, but definitely not in this quality.
Not great quality.
No, not close. Because I watched it, I'm like, there's no way. A lot of the stuff that he did mention that they stream on Shudder is from the new restorations and things like that. So that's good to know as well. But yeah, this 4K release is getting 2 commentaries, both involving him. I think one is maybe newer than the other. But yeah, it's a stellar release. Blue Underground's doing stellar work. It was amazing to talk to him and just get his insight on the movie world as well as the home media market, because he has seen all of it, being around and being involved in it for as long as he has.
Definitely. Well, with that said, Andrew, where can you be found?
You can find me on Twitter at Kepzilla06, as well as our YouTube channel, Chasing Labels.
And you can find me on Facebook, Stephen Billings. You can also find me at the other Chasing Labels things, whether it be our Twitter or our Instagram. And you can also follow me at Letterboxd at Chasing Labels. You can find the audio for the podcast on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, all the major players. Thanks again for listening. And hey, keep on watching them movies.
I know I will.